Okay, so meeting has started. Just a minute.
Do I have? No. Okay. Somebody will admit, right?
Yes, these people, admin will people will. So meanwhile, I'll just share the PPT of PM SAC. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
So people who have joined, this is a Project Management South Asia Conference, which is going to happen in Hyderabad on 13th of September. So people who have not registered and still in nearby Hyderabad can register and um, attend this event because it is like lots of chapters are joining, including Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. So there will be lots of opportunities, networking opportunities to meet your colleagues. This is the registration link, which is available on the PMI website also. So these are the benefits you if you would like to attend. This is the PMSAC 25 announcement. I have been told by my president to announce this before we begin our session and the attendees are joining. So this is the Project Management South Asia Conference 2025, which is going to happen on 13th of September at Hyderabad, hosted by Project Management Institute Pearl City, Hyderabad chapter. So these will be the benefits if you attend. There will be insightful keynote speeches, networking opportunities, deep dive discussions, learn and grow. And today's session is we will share the flyer, which I think you are all aware of, and we are here for this. So we will wait 2 more minutes and then we can start our session. So I think I'm going to start the session. People are joining, and it is already 6:03 India time. So hello everyone. Good evening from India. I'm Shikha Singh, volunteering as Vice President Professional Development at PMI Mumbai chapter. I hold a BE in Production Engineering from Mumbai University, Green Belt in Lean Six Sigma, and PMP certified from PMI. Professionally, I am working at LRQA Inspection Services India LLP at Mumbai and having over 18 plus years of experience in operations of inspection services and right now handling global projects. So I welcome everyone for today's PM Forum session. So PM forums are a format used by PMI chapters for discussion and networking among project professionals. PM forums can be a valuable way to stay up to date on industry trends, learn new techniques, and build relationships with other project managers. So today's topic is topic managing infrastructure releases, a window into a high risk and high reward program. And to present this topic, we have invited Mr. Sriram, who is a true Mumbaiker and has done his schooling from Don Bosco Matunga because he is a founder and past president of the PMI Lakeshore chapter in Ontario, Canada. So he has been a true Mumbaiker, and that's why he has requested us to invite him for this session. So thank you, Mr. Ram. Mr. Ram Sriram is a senior program executive and management consultant with over 35 years of experience in IT sector in multiple industries. As a consulting executive, Ram has the experience in a wide variety of global environments to strategize concepts, develop business and technical options, and execute to bring a concept to reality. As a result oriented professional, he can bridge the gap between the business and technical organizations to develop strategies, solutions, and resolve issues collaboratively. So his LinkedIn profile will be shared in chat box shortly. Please connect with him and please post your questions in the chat box and same will be answered at the end of the session by the speaker. So I request Ram sir to start his session, please. Thank you. I just unshare. Yes, Ram sir, you can just share your screen.
Yeah, why is it not letting me share? It's not letting me.
Yeah,
Yes.
now yeah, we could see.
Uh, can you see my screen?
Yes, you can make it a slideshow, no problem.
Yeah. One sec. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Mumbai chapter. Welcome to this evening's presentation. I would like to thank the PMI Mumbai chapter to give me an opportunity to present this topic. And thank you all for attending. I understand there are over 200 participants, attendees in this presentation. And before I start, I'd like to just inform you that I have masked the telecom company's name due to security reasons. I had to get permission to present from them, and they requested me to mask their name. So I will be referring the client as the telecom company. Okay, moving on. Why is it not moving? Okay. So the abstract managing infrastructure releases a window into a high pressure, high risk program. uh, high reward program. So before diving into the detail, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge participants from different industries. I'm sure we have people here from engineering, pharmaceutical, defense, government, banking, finance, and also IT. This is an IT topic, so I'd like to bring some analogies in what programs mean in different industries and what IT programs mean. So if you look at engineering projects if you build a bridge, it may take years. So that's a program by itself. Or if you look at defense, building the Tejas Mark 1A has taken 10 years or more. So that is a program by itself. Or in shipbuilding, or when you bring a drug to market, it takes years of research and development and trials before you bring the product onto marketing and to the market. So here in IT, this is an IT program that ran for 4 years and completely in waterfall methodology. So this is step-by-step process because the entire program was so complex and there were so many stakeholders and so many moving parts that it had to be done in the waterfall methodology, using methodology, right? So an infrastructure release is a fast-paced cutover event from old to new systems held regularly in large IT environments to upgrade hardware, network, storage, security, and application software components. The event is marked by meticulous planning, precision execution, complex coordination, and exemplary teamwork. So my role as IBM program manager, I had the overall responsibility for the operational governance, planning, and execution of the program and the releases. So just a brief bio, I'm a versatile professional donning several hats as a management consultant and IT program manager with experience in different industry sectors. I've also worked in large multinational companies in North America and the Far East. I'm having issues moving. Okay. So here's the agenda. See, on the right side, you will see a picture of the organization buffeted or impacted by different forces. So you have economic forces, technological forces, sociocultural forces, natural disasters and human-induced problems, and government and political forces. So this particular client was impinged by all these forces. And that's why this program was initiated. So my agenda, I'm going to give you a background of the case study, some context, program initiation, the why, competing in the market, program scope, the what, upgrading, implementing infrastructure and application and uplifts, program players, the who, stakeholders, program span, the when, program execution, the how, program execution and command centers, the where, program cutover, the release planning and implementation, and program summation, and the lessons learned from program experience. So this is my agenda, and let me start by giving you the background. It's taking time to move from slide to slide. Is it because there are too many people?
We can see your third slide as of now.
I can't see it.
It's like the same slide agenda is still showing the same thing.
Yeah, I know it's not moving for some reason. Oh, it's going back. Okay, here we go. So the background of this company. It's a Canadian multinational telecom company. And as one of Canada's largest wireless providers, they connect 11.9 million mobile subscribers across Canada on the country's most reliable 5G network. Their commitment is to offer the largest and most reliable network so one can connect when and where they would want. And their impact is to strengthen Canada's economy, power Canada's digital infrastructure, and create jobs from coast to coast. So the case study is the telecom company's billing system. So their billing system in 2011 was overloaded. The system was late in the generation of monthly bills for their customers. Heavy fines were being paid to the Canadian Radio and Television Commission for this customer inconvenience. And in 2011, the billing system comprised of 2 application servers and 2 database servers in each of their 6 environments: dev, test, performance, training, production, and DR, for a grand total of 10 servers. So just to let you know, the Canadian Radio and Television Commission is the agency that forms the rules for the telecom industry, and they monitor and regulate the telecom industry, and fines need to be collected and paid by these companies to the Telecom Commission if for some reason they violate the rule. So they are very strict about these rules, and the telecom companies have to abide by them. So the billing system upgrade mandate. So the billing system was the core of the company's IT environment, with over 100 systems feeding into or receiving outputs from it. With the anticipated high demands of cell phone usage and their impact on the network, strategically planned a 4-year program to upgrade their billing system. Thus, the complexity of such an upgrade impacted most of the systems surrounding it, and the undertaking was one of the most complex, challenging programs in the company's universe. As you can see, the billing system is the core, and you have other applications surrounding it with external regulatory and other systems surrounding the last core. So this was a very complex system environment, and Rogers was, the telecom company was very keen to implement this program. So program initiation, why was this program initiated? So in 2011, the telecom industry, it was the fastest growing industry sector. iPhone 3, iPhone 4 had just been launched, and competition between the 2 major companies were monopolizing the telecom market. And the 2 major companies intensified efforts to modernize their IT infrastructure. To gain market share and be number 1, this program was initiated. So just to give you an idea, that this telecom company had a market share of 31%, whereas the other competing Bell had a market share of 28% for a total share of 41%. Smaller companies were 41% and this was 59%. So the population of Canada is about 40.1 million, and the market was shared by 59% was shared between these 2 companies. So that was the scenario, and they anticipated a high cell phone usage after iPhone 4, and that's why this modernization stint started. So program scope, the what? So the program consisted of multiple streams. We had an infrastructure stream to procure, build, and implement in each environment. We had an application stream to build, test, and implement in each environment. And we had a separate uplift stream, upgrade existing infrastructure prior to implementation of the new environment. So a note here, for every environment, dev, test, performance, training, production, and disaster recovery, there were 2 releases. There was a release to implement the infrastructure/database, and then followed by an infrastructure applications cutover. So uplifts, which are really maintenance and upgrades, were performed to the existing environment to keep the lights on. And these uplifts were performed or implemented throughout the year. So program scope, the what. In terms of infrastructure, we had to upgrade the new hardware and software and decommission the old. So the hardware, we had server farms, we had application servers, mainframe, physical, cloud, database servers, mainframe, physical, cloud, security servers, security monitoring servers, storage frames, network devices, power systems. We had OS software, operating system software, database storage, security, and network software. And we had 6 environments to implement this infrastructure: development, test, performance testing, training, production, and disaster recovery. What was the application system scope? So to upgrade the application software, Amdocs, the telecom company billing application, included the batch environment. It's supporting application databases, all feeder system interfaces, all output system interfaces, all external vendor and regulatory system interfaces. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Amdocs. Amdocs is the largest telecom industry billing software, and it holds the largest market share of 14% in the world. So most of the telecom companies all over the world use Amdocs, and the competition is Verizon, Ericsson, etc. So Amdocs was being used by this telecom company, and so that application was being upgraded. And what is the uplift? So we had to upgrade and do regular maintenance on existing storage, database, server, CPU, memory, network hardware, and decom the old equipment till the new environments were implemented. So this was being done in parallel while the new infrastructure was being built. So the program players, the who, we had multiple stakeholders, and it was a large multidisciplinary team comprising of multiple stakeholders. As you can see on the right, we have to join hands to make this jump a successful one. Who are the stakeholders? The telecom company, overall governance, strategy, and fiscal responsibility. They were responsible for application teams upgrading their interfaces, responsible for testing, database support, network implementation, and data center management. So we had some servers in the telecom company's data center production, and IBM hosted all the other environments. What did IBM do? Operational governance, all teams, and implementation responsibility. They managed the infrastructure, program planning, execution, and reporting, technical architecture, operating system, and database teams, security, and other expertise as needed. Amdocs, application architecture, application software development, testing and implementation, specialized technical expertise, and then Oracle, the database vendor, database technical consulting, and a lot of other vendors, small vendors who had niche software license to be supported. So the program span, the when. So I joined IBM in 2010, and in 2011, I was drawn into doing some initial uplifts because of the iPhone 4 launches, hardware and software. And then when they realized that the cell phone market was going to explode and that they're awfully short of infrastructure, they decided to implement this program between 2012 and 2015. So in 2012, we had uplifts and development environment, database and application cutover. In 2013, we had uplifts and testing and training environments, database and application cutover. 2014, performance testing environment cutover. And in 2015, production and disaster recovery environment cutover. So this was the timeline given to us, and we had to meet it. There was no other go. It was a do or die situation kind of thing, but that was the mandate. So again, the program span, the when. I'm showing here a sample infrastructure and application implementation stream here at a very high level. And there were several such streams for database and uplift. You can see in the next slide, database was slightly different, and application for development, performance testing, and testing was slightly different. So this is the sample at a very high level. So on the upper half, you can see is the infrastructure stream, and in the lower half, you can see the application system stream. So let me walk you through the infrastructure stream. So the first thing we do is some infrastructure planning. We figure out what we want to do, how we want to get there. Then step number 2, we do procurement and technical design. So procurement, we had to place orders for securing servers a long time before we actually implemented. And then once we got the servers, we had to build the OS and the DB. Following which step number 4, we had to scan the servers and remediate all the errors. So I'm going to stop here at step number 4 and jump into the application system stream, where in parallel, Amdocs did the requirements planning. And while we are trying to procure the servers and build the servers, they started to build the software on machines in Israel and India. So they couldn't deploy the software. So they used their servers in India and Israel to build the initial software. And then once we scanned and remediated all the errors, in step number 5, they loaded the software and started unit and systems testing on the new hardware that we just built. And then they did performance testing. And once all performance testing was done, then we started release planning. And the release planning to release cutover implementation was generally 3 months, but it could be anywhere 2 months or even a month, depending on the time you had, because we had to finish the entire program in 4 years and implement 6 environments. So I'm going to talk to you about the release cutover planning and implementation further down the road, but I'm giving you an overview of the program so you can understand the complexity of what was happening and the timeline that we had to deal with. So this is the uplift stream. So these are regulatory maintenance preparatory releases throughout the year. So we had uplift requirements planning and uplift release planning, and then uplift release implementation. So we did an average of 10 uplift releases per year, and types of uplifts were network devices, storage devices, CPU, memory, security software, decommissioning old hardware, dry runs for implementation. So this was going on in parallel while we built new servers in the other stream and built new software. So very complex program, and there are a lot of balls in the air that I had to keep track of. Program execution, the organization strategy. How did we organize ourselves? Infrastructure, IBM provided the technical infrastructure, architecture, design, and procured all the hardware and the OS software licenses. Over 50 technical resources in Canada, US, and India. Application, Amdocs, the billing software owner, and the telecom company shaped the application architecture, which in turn was applied to the infrastructure and database strategy. Over 100 technical resources in Canada, India, and Israel. Network, the telecom company along with IBM defined the network architecture. Over 25 technical resources in Canada. Program management, IBM developed the overall plan and had the overall responsibility for coordination, execution, and reporting. Over 15 technical and financial management resources in Canada. Governance and oversight, the telecom company along with IBM had overall oversight for the program and reported to the board of directors. Over 10 senior management resources in Canada. So that's how complex the organization was. So here's a breakdown of the organization structure. So we had the board of directors to whom we had to report every month. The telecom company, senior management, directors, VPs of IT. And then we had IBM underneath the telecom company because IBM was the principal consultant and support supporting contractor for the infrastructure. They had a 7-year contract with the telecom company. And then Amdocs was the billing system software company, the telecom company's application and technical teams. There were over 100 teams trying to update their technical interfaces. And we had the IBM technical teams, OS, database, security, all kinds of people, batch. We had Oracle DB support from consulting support and other vendors. So this was the overall hierarchical organizational flow. And you can see they had to report not only to IBM, but also to the telecom company, which reported to the board of directors. So the program execution, the how, all streams, the planning. I mean, here's a simple quote here. By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. So planning was very critical for this program as a whole. So IBM developed and maintained the overall program plan with all dependent sub-project plans from each stakeholder group. All schedules were updated on a weekly basis and impacted deadlines were monitored and adjusted daily. Release implementation uplift windows were negotiated monthly and changes to schedule were flexibly adjusted. The release weekend plan was a separate minute-by-minute plan maintained strictly by IBM and developed with input from rigorous planning sessions. An issue action item in a risk register was monitored on a daily basis. Meetings and reporting. All major stakeholders held daily meetings with their team to further progress and meet the overall schedule. Rigorous planning meetings were held for program progress and release implementations. PowerPoint decks and updated project plans were developed, maintained to report to management on a monthly, bi-weekly basis, included reporting on progress, financial spend, resourcing, issues and risks, and contingencies. Communication. Emails, instant messaging, in-person virtual meetings, and phone calls were the means of communication between all stakeholder groups. And finally, the knowledge repository. So all documents, technical, financial, plans, issues, actions, risks were all cataloged during every phase for all groups and implemented in a knowledge repository for access and improvements and faster issue resolution. So this knowledge repository was critical for us in improving our process. And here's the stakeholder dynamics of how we met between the different stakeholder groups. So IBM and the telecom client, we met daily. We had discussed the deliverables included technical design, architecture implementation plan, server builds, DB builds, infra implementation and integration, DR plans, and overall progress. So the daily chat between the director and the program team, IBM. Amdocs and telecom client daily. They talked about the application architecture, design, build, test application implementation plan, integrate with release implementation. IBM and Amdocs weekly and as required. Implementation plans integrate with release implementation. IBM and Oracle as required implementation consulting support. Oracle and telecom client as required DB procurement and implementation and consulting support. IBM, Amdocs, Oracle, and the telecom client biweekly and as required, overall governance, progress reporting, issue resolution, infrastructure, application, and database implementation plans, and implementation planning. This was the stakeholder dynamics. Apart from that, we had our own internal IBM meetings, team meetings. Amdocs had its own team meetings, and so did the application teams. So there was a lot of meetings and a lot of things to keep track of. And I had no administrative support, but I had a team of 4 project managers who helped me immensely in keeping track of these things. So the planning, in terms of resources, the best dedicated resources from each stakeholder group were assigned to the program team. We had a dedicated team. Without which this was not possible. So at least 2 or more backup resources for each specialty was on standby, and involved in the program. Resource managers from each stakeholder group were appraised of the overall schedule for effective allocation. All peripheral support groups were constantly updated about this highest priority program in the telecom company and IBM. Hardware and software, all hardware and software planned to be procured at least 6 months in advance of implementation. And this was an issue. Luckily, it was pre-COVID time, so supply chain was good. So, and we bought a lot of IBM servers, so we didn't have much of a problem. Application development strategy. Amdocs designed an iterative development strategy and planned to enhance their billing software after implementation in every environment with retroactive upgrade in previous environments. All impacted application groups were appraised and appropriate development strategies were utilized. So hardware implementation strategy, IBM organized a just-in-time server and Superdome build approach for each environment and prepared to reduce build times after each environment assemble. Database, Oracle arranged for the best consulting expertise to be on hand for development, testing, and implementation. Enhanced 24/7 support agreement was in place for implementation weekends. Network. The telecom company's network prepared new network capacities for each environment build at least 3 to 6 months ahead of implementation. This was critical. So program execution, I already gone through the little picture that I showed you earlier. So just to go over it again, infra and application requirements planning, hardware build configurations tailored according to the environment, build times reduced after each environment build, improved efficiency, application requirements defined. So procurement and technical design, hardware and software procured annually or biannually for environments at a time. This helped the spending limit and met the budget. Technical systems design was developed and verified. The build, hardware build configurations, OS and DB tailored according to the environment, and build times reduced after each environment build. OS, DB, security, and network software upload based on environment specifications. Billing software developed and iteratively improved for each environment and retrofitted. Scanning and remediation, bulk scanning and remediation of servers after build in each environment. Software upload and unit systems testing, applications if software was loaded, unit and systems testing after each build using test scripts for application systems. Performance testing in each environment based on specified requirements, limited simulated end-to-end testing stream. Release planning. This was the most intense cutover planning for every cutover. And the release implementation of the marathon execution in a cutover release window. So program execution and command centers. The where were the program resources? It was scattered across Canada, India, US, and Israel. Teams were co-located close to each other across telecom company premises in Brampton and Toronto. Brampton is a suburb of Toronto. So this telecom company had offices in Brampton, in Toronto, and in Markham. Their data center was in Markham. Implementation. So IBM's data center hosted all new servers for development, test, performance testing, training, and disaster recovery environments. And the telecom company's data center in Markham hosted all new servers for the production environment. So we use the boardroom and war room, so-called war room, designated war. You can see how a regular war room, a Pentagon war room looks like. And we had a similar setup in the data center in Markham. And we had a much larger boardroom, which hosted about over 100 resources for the production cutover, because we needed everybody in 2 large rooms. So the client company data center conference room was used for the production cutover and uplift releases. The larger conference rooms hosting over 100 resources were used for production. The earlier ones the data center ones for use for smaller releases. So this was the kind of command centers that were used, and this was extremely useful in controlling and managing the plan execution of a release with focus and true collaboration. The program cutover, release and planning implementation. It was the most intense mini project within the program managed by IBM. Most highly visible and anticipated IT cutover weekend. So there were database cutovers, application cutovers, and uplifts were performed on separate release weekends. And the entire execution was conducted on two bridges. There was a technical bridge for execution and a separate management bridge for escalations. So while the technical bridge was executing, if there were any issues that need to be escalated and roadblocks to be removed or decisions to be made, I would go off to a separate room and open a separate management bridge, talk to management, and get their permission to proceed or change direction as needed. This was very, very important to keep management informed and also get their permission to proceed as planned, in spite of the risks and issues. So the release window, it spanned 14 hours generally from Saturday 10 p.m. till Sunday noon. Sometimes special extensions of 15 hours were granted to key release windows. So you can imagine, staying overnight for about 14 to 15 hours, almost twice a month. And penalties. If the window exceeded 14 hours due to any technical issue, then a SEV1 incident due to the non-availability of the environment would be called out, and a fine of $500,000 would be charged to IBM. So this was one of the penalties that made us plan meticulously, because we didn't want IBM to be paying $500,000 every time. A program manager would be hauled in front of senior management for explanation of poor planning and execution. So this penalty made us even more work harder to plan better. So I'm going to get into the planning part very shortly, but this was the kind of rules that were put in front of us that we are asked to follow. So the release planning, we typically started 60 days before the release. The March begins. So, there was intense while the program was going on, while there were other streams to be managed by my PMs, I had to take charge of each release cutover plan. So I managed the plan, I updated it and made sure that everything was in place. So the first thing was the requirements. The cutover objectives and scope of the release are first identified by all the stakeholders. So the scope is extremely important, as I'll tell you, as you can see following in the other slides that are about to come. So all stakeholders need to have their requirements, tasks, durations, and dependencies identified. This release plan is a minute-to-minute plan. It's a 1,500 line template and is updated with the release dates to begin with. And I initiate meetings twice a week for an hour or two, maybe, to assemble the scope of tasks, durations, dependencies, section by section, minute by minute. This is critical. This takes a lot of time to assemble. Resourcing, again, stakeholders are advised to identify resources for release plan reviews and implementation participation. Backups are also asked to be identified. And vendors are also asked to identify resources and invited to release meetings. So we inform everybody to assign their best people to the release planning and the implementation. And sometimes this does not happen. So that's a big risk while planning, because sometimes the resources do not have the expertise or do not know how to do things properly. So that's a very, very big risk. Release windows, again, implementation dates and timings are provided to all stakeholders. We had to reserve the war room much ahead in advance because there were a number of people booking meeting rooms and these war rooms. I had to get special permission from senior management to book these war rooms for us, and I had to get priority over others to book these war rooms. And RFC planning. Every release needed a request for change to be in place ahead of the implementation date. And I had to plan these windows much ahead of time, a year in advance, so that I get those windows and I publish the date much ahead in advance. And weekend windows, as I said, need to be identified in advance to the change committee. Now, the change committee here is one of the most powerful committees in the telecom company. They have the power to review every change that comes through for implementation every day, 24 hours a day, and they have the power to decline the change to go forward because they have oversight on all the changes happening in the environment, and they can see the impact of one change over the other. So if you are going on an implementation weekend where other changes are going to be impacted, they might pull you, and vice versa. So I had to negotiate these windows much ahead of time. I had to get management support so that we can meet the deadline of the 4-year program. And it was a lot of negotiation between the change committee and me. And, they didn't like me initially because I was too aggressive. And then following which, after I got the priority, they started to lean towards me. Planning 10 days to 30 days. It's a lot of helter-skelter. We are running around trying to get all the scope identified still. I didn't find the task duration dependency plan is not complete. I have to call people to get their resources assigned. The plan reviews increase. Plan compilation is ongoing depending on all stakeholders providing the requirements. Release plan meeting frequency is increased to daily to complete all pending activity identification, risk identification, and mitigation plans developed for every task. Resource confirmations also ongoing. Operations support, server, database, batch, security, network is notified of the upcoming change for support during and after the release weekend. The RFC is created and sent for review to the change board. And then the release weekend resource list. This is the most important document that I had to prepare every time. The first time I developed it, and then I started to update it depending on the resources available. So a directory of all resources with their cell phone, email, manager name is created for all teams participating in the release. A senior management list is also part of the directory with their cell phones and emails for reporting status and resolving issues. So this directory is critical for me to manage during the release because I have no time to look at, I have very little time to contact people, and I need to be organized extremely well. So organization is critical for running releases and running programs. You need to have the names of everybody in a list and call them or notify them as needed. Invite them to meetings, whatever. So this resource list is a very important part of this entire planning. And T-5 to 10 days, the gaps close and the tension mounts. So you have the cutover release plan. So again, all stakeholders are part of the intense reviews. The plan is confirmed. All loose ends in terms of dependencies, timings, backup plans, notes of descriptions of tasks, and resources are validated. All risks identified and mitigation plans are reviewed. Now, For me, it was an intense exercise in what if scenarios. I had to look at not only the individual scope of, say, database or software or infrastructure, but also look at it holistically, because I needed to know if one thing failed, what is the impact of the on of this failure on the rest, and how would they resolve it. So it was a constant review of what if scenarios in different ways, depending on the scope. And if I felt that there was too much risk, I would reduce the scope, because I didn't want a failure and I didn't want to pay $500,000. So this review of the plan and the scope needs to be done very thoroughly. It doesn't matter how many times review. For one release for the production cutover, I remember we reviewed the plan at least about 30 times. So to make sure that it was flawless. So I had to make sure that the minute by minute plan had the right resources, had the right expertise, and to do the job in the required time, and had backup options, backout options in place for everything. Every issue was identified, possible backups were identified, and I had to go through everything with a fine tooth and nail, right? So that is very, very critical for release planning. Communication plans were created for stakeholder and management audience, and these would be attached to the RFC when complete. Backout plans, again, this is very, very important. We need to have a backout plan just in case we have to come back and go back to the original infrastructure. This was also attached to the RFC before final approval. So RFC approves. The RFC is reviewed and approved by the change committee in a review session with the program manager. So I had to go in front of the committee and explain what the scope was, how long would it take, what my backout plan was, and whether I would meet the 14-hour deadline. And they would review the plan and make sure that there were no other changes impacting me, and only then would they approve. So they went through my RFC and my plan really intensely. Operation support confirmation. I had to get that in place for the release weekend and after. And I had to check the war room. I had always, before you go into any war room, you have to check all audio visual devices, phones, monitors, speakers, and repairs performed if needed, because you never know if the network is working or if the Wi-Fi is working. You have to check it. We had in the war room, we had computer monitors identifying, the plan, projecting the plan, and plan being updated. And this was in a Zoom call. It was being shown to everybody, so everybody knew where we were when we are running the bridge. So refreshments, again, this was again an important thing. The food and drink menu was identified and the vendor notified for the release weekend. We had so many resources working. This was pre-COVID, so everybody was in the office. So we had to have refreshments in place for them to have in their lean period. So here we go. This is me, the program manager, electrified before every release. I couldn't get a better brown photograph, but here I am, electrified. This was the kind of scenario before going to every release. Hair-raising tension. So the program cut over.
I think that slide is yet to come. I
The
think we
release
are
it.
on now 26 number slide right now.
Oh, I'm on 28. Can you see
Like
27?
refreshments, the food and drink menu is identified and vendor notified for the release weekend. We can see that slide.
Okay, next one.
Not yet.
Okay, let me pause here. Did you get it?
No, not yet.
There seems to be a lag.
Time lag, I think so, yes.
Yeah. Do you want me to stop sharing and start sharing again?
Yeah, I think you can try that, yes. We are still on the same slide, yeah. Ram sir, are you there? Yeah, I think he will be join again. I'm just messaging him. Can you try again?
It is somehow going to think that continue without your video. Right now, I don't have someone will let you in shortly.
Yeah, okay. Okay, just a minute. I'll got it. I got it. I'll just talk to Tushar. I'll come back to you. Ram sir, I think I added you. Can you just check? Sorry, everyone, he is facing some problem due to connectivity, so he is now again rebooting his laptop. So meanwhile, there is an announcement for everyone who has joined today's session. That is the PM Sec announcement. I'll just share my screen meanwhile. Can you see my screen? This is a PM SAC 25 announcement, which is going to happen in September at our hosted by our PMI Hyderabad chapter, Pearl City chapter. So it is going to happen on 13th of September, and it is Project Management South Asia Conference 2025, which is aim high and achieve more. So these are the more values which is now being implemented by PMI very recently. It is manage perceptions, own project success, reassess, expand perspective. So manage perceptions is ensure stakeholders perceive the project's value. Own project success is take ownership beyond project management success, and reassess is continuously reassess and adjust project parameters. Next is last one is in among more is expand perspective, which is considered the broader impact of projects. So you will get a lots of opportunities to network during the this PM SAC, which is the reason why we are telling you to attend. It is insightful keynote speeches, networking opportunities, deep dive panel discussions, learn and grow. So here's a more detailed breakdown of why you should consider attending. So people who have not attended, please register. Registrations are still open, and the reasons why you should be considering attending this event is gain insights from industry experts, network and build relationships, enhance project management practices, learn and grow, access resources and attend exclusive events, connect with like-minded professionals, learn about the latest happenings and updates on PMI Global and PMI India, participate in learning activities. So this is the registration link. People who are here in the today's session, meanwhile the speaker tries to join, please register on this link if you want to attend this PM SAC happening in Hyderabad in September. Yeah, I tried, but his laptop is not like he's not able to join in again. So he is rebooting, he's restarting his laptop. So meanwhile, we'll just wait for some time. So sorry for that.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you and we can see you. You can carry on.
Okay, but I have to share my screen. Uh, why is it not going there?
I think you should mail me the PPT or share, and then we can do it from here, if because the same problem can be again also.
Uh, okay. Can you see the screen now?
Not yet.
You can't see my screen.
Not yet. If you can share us the PPT now, we can see your screen, not the slides.
Okay. What about now?
Yes, now we can see. Yes,
Okay.
the same page, 26 number.
Yeah. So sorry for the interruption, but here I am electrified before every release.
I was waiting
The,
for this photograph.
yeah. So very tense and a lot of tension. So this is an overview of what happens in a release implementation. You have step one, system shutdown. You have step two, cutover hardware and software implementations. Step three, system startup. Then you have step four, application systems testing. If the testing is successful, we release to production. Otherwise, if we have to back out the changes and revert all the implementation, shut down the new system, go back to the old system, again do systems testing, and again do release to production. So if you can, as you can see in the system shutdown, we shut down the bad jobs, we shut down the security monitoring, bring down the existing systems, and confirm all systems are down. Then we do all our changes, whatever changes we have to do, hardware, database, application, endpoint, security. And once it's all done, then we do the system startup again of the new system. uh, the system's already on. We start up the bad jobs. Then we do the application systems testing of all the 100 applications to make sure everything is working. If everything is working, then we release to production. Otherwise, we have to come back. So this is day in, for every weekend, depending on the steps, internal steps. But this is what we do in every release. But the risks are very high in every step. Right, I'll come to that in a future slide. So on D-Day, Judgment Day, it's the pre-release. It's the scariest day, and the program has arrived. The core team arrives at the war room in person an hour in advance of the Saturday 10 p.m. start. All audio-visual devices are checked to be in working condition, and then I open the bridge at 9:30 p.m., 30 minutes ahead of the 10 p.m. start. So the release begins. The first thing we do is the system shutdown. The first email communication is sent to all the stakeholders and management. System shutdown begins, and then the task call out, minute by minute task call out on the plan, release plan is started. And then once every task is done, it is marked as 100% complete. So system shutdown takes about 1.5 hours normally. And then the second email is sent for successful system shutdown to everyone, all stakeholders, all management. Then release is underway. So all the hardware and software implementation cutover tasks is done for 7 hours or 6 hours, depending on the scope, right? If it's too big a scope, then I would cut it down and do it in multiple releases, right? Because we need to cut down the risks. So third email communication sent, resources are called to the bridge to initiate their set of tasks, and I monitor the tasks minute by minute. And if there's a problem, I ask them to, in the background, resolve the issue, come back to me with options, and then I will decide on which option to be implemented depending on the impact, right? And I will be in constant touch with the technical teams to figure out what is the best option if there's an issue. and time is of the essence. So we need the best people to identify the resolution and give it to me so that I can make an informed decision of whether to go forward or not, and also see what is the impact to the other tasks that are dependent on this particular task. So I have to do that in real time. It's like precision planning and execution in real time. Issues are called out, resolved separately by the team in the background. As I said, if timing is impacted, I have to consult the core team and senior management and arrive at a quick resolution. So that's going on during the release. And then once all the changes are done, then we start the system startup. So we have the new systems are up. All the application systems are pointing to the new system. Then we send out an email saying startup is done, underway. And then again, the plan is followed and validated through call out on the bridge. And a fifth email is sent confirming startup is complete. And once the startup is done, we allow the applications teams to start their testing. And I have to get all the application teams up and ready even before the startup is done. And this takes a long time. I have to make sure that every resource is available on the bridge so that they can do their testing. And they have to do it in the order that was specified. And this is very, very important, right? Because there are dependencies, because after one system testing is complete and the interface sends its output to the next system, then the next system can start testing. So this chain reaction is very, very critical. So I control the task initiation. Testing issues are called out and resolved separately by team in the background. Again, if there are issues and timing impacted, I consult senior management, and application testing normally takes about 2 hours. In case there's any problem and if any major application is not passing its test cases, then we have to decide whether to call it and revert back to and back out, right? So this period is very, very critical. So once all the systems are tested, then the production system operation startup, we release to production. It is released to operations at 12 noon on Sunday, 12 p.m., right? And release plans are still followed. Make sure that all the monitoring is up, all the security is up, and database applications are all being monitored successfully. And then the 8th email confirmation sent saying operations has taken over and release is complete and successful. So that's the good path, right? The happy path. If there's a backout and if there are major issues, the call is taken at the early stages of application testing, or if the systems are not starting up. So at any point, these two phases, number 3 and 4, are critical. So if something goes wrong there, then we have to revert, right? And we have to have enough time to back out to the old system, again do systems testing, and again release to production. So that's how critical it is in backout. So I'm going to speed up a little fast here because we are short of time. Another 10 slides to go. So that's in a nutshell backout. So again, we release to production, backout, it's the old environment production system is released to operations. And then they are still validated, and immense sense of relief and ecstasy. So we are really thrilled that nothing went wrong and everything is good. So after the implementation, the monitoring, the operation teams gets in and they start monitoring of the systems 24/7. All servers are monitored, all databases are monitored, all applications are monitored, everything is monitored, updated communications, backup project team is in place, because we, after working for 14 hours, we need a separate team in place to resolve issues and risks if there are any problems. So, and system issues are detected and resolved in real time. The bridge, there's a separate operation bridge kicks in for monitoring issues and resolving them. So in case of catastrophic failure, all hands on deck. So even I will be brought back to figure out what the problem was and where it went wrong and what can we do to bring it back. So rest and recreation. So the project team, Monday is generally off after the release weekend. We are facilitated and applauded by management soon after. There'll be a team lunch or a weekend retreat organized, fun and games with good food and music. So the release implementation risks. So I'm going to go through some of the major risks that happen in every phase of the release. So in case of a system shutdown, bad jobs do not complete on time. Bad jobs sometimes fail or on hold or still keep running for some reason. So it cuts into the implementation window. And then if it's too long, then I have to decide whether to reduce the scope or to completely shut down the release because I can't take the risk. And again, when we are implementing the new hardware, OS, DB network, if there are issues and it is impacting the release timing, then I have to decide whether I have to reduce the scope or if the resource is not unavailable to resolve the problem. Again, here in this phase, backout risks are high. I have to decide very quickly whether to back out. Again, in system startup, if the systems are not starting due to changes in infrastructure and application, I have to decide whether to back out. So this area, 1, 2, and 3 are very high risk periods. And application testing as well. If the application testing of key applications are not satisfactory, I have to back out. The SEV1 is a very high risk here. And in release to production, if not all bad jobs are initiated, it's not a problem. We can fix it. If the server, security, DB, and network monitoring is not working properly, we can fix it. Backout risks are low once it's been released to production. Backout implementation itself, that is a SEV1 high risk, because if the backout tasks are not completed on time, and if the resources are not available for backout, if they think it's all good and they go away, calling them back, and the time is cutting into the window. So SEV1 is a very high risk. Again, when we shut down and restart the old systems, and if there's a delay, then it's a high risk for SEV1. And application testing, again, if on the old infrastructure, if the application testing is not satisfactory, SEV1 is a high risk. So again, release old environment to production, delay in release to production, SEV1 is a high risk. So you can see at every step, there is a possibility of SEV1, and I have to be constantly on my toes to make sure that nothing happens. It's a very high risk, high pressure kind of job. And issues. So some of the things that we faced in the disaster recovery, the complexity of implementation is very high. So there were 2 cutover releases, one for database, one for application. Storage, database synchronization, replication was complex and took exceptionally long. Application synchronization had issues. In production environment, the complexity is very high. We had 2 dry runs and 1 DB cutover, 1 application cutover, number of releases. So database migration was incrementally augmented in the cutover, was very slow to complete, touch and go situation. Was not sure whether the latest application code from the QA environment could be compiled without errors in production. Errors had to be rectified during the release. Was very unsure if the application interfaces would work because it was the first time we were testing it in production implementation. In performance testing, the complexity is moderate, 2 cutovers, end-to-end systems performance testing could not be performed due to no access to external interfaces. Testing and training, moderate complexity, 2 cutovers, no major issues. Development, low complexity, 2 cutovers, no major issues. So in summation, we met the budget of $20 million with another $2 million for inflationary adjustments. Hardware and software, the capacity was scaled up to meet customer growth. 200 plus servers implemented in 6 environments over a 4-year period. 4,000 plus software licenses utilized for the 6 environments. Man-hours spent, incredible effort, over 2.5 million hours spent by over 200 resources on the program over 4 years. amounts to an average of over 10 hours per day per resource for 4 years. Releases, no outages and no penalty. 60 plus releases over 60 plus weekends in 5 years. 12 releases per year on average included are uplift, dry runs, and implementation cutovers. Stakeholders, all goals and objectives of the program were met. We got them the upgraded environments with the latest technology, and stakeholders were satisfied with the results. Board, the telecom company retained its number one position in the telecom market in Canada. The board appreciated the results. Again, I'm having problems moving to the next screen here. Can you see slide number 37?
Yes, we
Hello?
can see. Yes, we can see slide number 37 right now. Program summation, overall summary.
Yeah, it's okay. So some humorous trivia. Can you see 38?
Yes.
Slide. So the very first release in 2011 to upgrade CPU and memory on 4 production servers was the shortest release. Took less than 6 hours. A release was postponed just 1 hour prior to start due to a storage drive failure. Right? So, and resources. And India Resource lost power at his home, so had to travel by bus to reach IBM offices to execute his task. He made it in time. So car horns, street vendor calls, and crying babies were regularly heard on the bridge during release, mostly from India Resources. A Canadian resource who slept through had to be wakened through a call to his wife by his manager to join the bridge and execute the task. An expert resource from a Canadian vendor failed to join the bridge and had to provide his expertise over a colleague's cell phone while driving. An IBM resource completed his set of tasks from an airport as his flight got cancelled. A memory and CPU upgrade was performed on the wrong set of servers, resulting in the failure of servers during startup. Luckily, we corrected it in time. So the lessons learned. Program project management, it is not for the faint-hearted program project manager. Need to balance high pressure with calmness, humor, courage, and confidence. Keeping team morale high is key to success. Meticulous planning. And again, a program manager or project manager needs to be a Microsoft project tool expert. Planning has to be watertight, and all task dependencies, durations need to be cross-checked multiple times. All risks need to be identified upfront and have mitigation plans in place. Backup plans for every task need to be identified upfront. Backup plans for the release need to be in place. Backup buffer needs to be managed in the plan as well. Precision execution. The best expert resources need to be in place for the task to be completed in time. Informed technical decision making and presenting of options is key to quick issue resolution. Backup expert resources need to be in place for all tasks. So I'm just going to jump into a military analogy here. In the 1971 India-Bangladesh War, General Sam Manekshaw was asked by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi to invade Bangladesh in April. And Sam Manekshaw, being an astute general, said no. He said he needs time for planning. He took 8 months for him to plan, and the war of Bangladesh was over in 13 days. That shows how meticulously he planned and how well the execution went. But even in Operation Sindoor, for example, there was a delay from the time the militant attack happened, and then about 15 days later, Operation Sindoor happened, and the war was over in 4 days. Here, I planned for 3 months for a 14-hour execution. So I had to plan really well, meticulous planning to execute in a 14-hour window, 60 times, without failure, without penalties. That is what's I'm proud about, and I'm proud about the team which helped me do this in and out every time. Complex coordination. Stakeholder communication and collaboration is key to execute successfully. Program manager's responsibility in communication and coordination is critical. One of the things that I had to deal with was a multinational crowd. So when you're in an environment with multinationals, you have all kinds of people from all over the world on the program team, and you have to learn to communicate with them in there so that they can understand and collaborate and cooperate. That means you have to adjust your communication, your attitude, your behavior. And in Canada, in the Western world, there is no sir or high and low business. Everybody is equal. But the way to get things done is subtle. You have the power, but you don't impose it implicitly. It's done explicitly. It's done very implicitly in a very subtle manner. So communication is very important, and you have to treat all team members as equals. There's no question of sir and high and low. You're there, you're a team member. Yes, I have the power as program manager, but I am a team member. So moving with resources, getting their collaboration and support is critical. And stakeholder management support was also critical to get all teams aligned for the common objective and removal of roadblocks. As I said, building relationships and teamwork, very important. We have to start from the beginning with the team and get to know them and go out for group lunches, outings. Recognition of team members for hard work is also very, very important. And iterative learning. We have to improve all processes after every implementation and educate all stakeholders of enhancements. Improve all channels of communication and update the knowledge repository. Very, very important. And here I am at the end, the program manager, Gandalf the wizard, at the end of the program. You can see how I have aged. And that's the team celebration. Before we going to Q&A, I just want to acknowledge my client director from the telecom company, my IBM management, Amdocs management, and the entire program team for their exceptional collaboration and knowledge in making this a very successful and exciting program to work in. I'd also like to thank Tejas Sura, who was a former president of the Mumbai chapter and also a PMI board member, Mr. Prasanna Sampath Kumar, who was the region mentor, Mr. Jacob Zakaria, who's the current president, and Shika Singh for all the support provided in making this presentation successful in spite of a disruption. So thank you all. I'm now open to any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you,
Over
Ram
to Chika.
sir. Thank you for your token of thanks. We have 5 questions as of now, so I will read one by one. So first question is from Sudhir Mahadik. His question is, during the 4-year-long program, how did you manage BAU enhancements and hot fixes delivered by the vendor in the product?
So we had to, there were some that were managed through the uplift releases, right? So we had to plan for it, and do it in the uplift releases, right? We might have had to do a special release just for those software updates because we can't do it in real time.
Okay. Next question is from Manoj Rastogi. He has only actually 2 questions. So first I'm just reading out. The DC setup was done to such a huge level among with DR planning. Nowadays, we usually talk about cloud computing. So please suggest the benefits of one over another and suitability conditions.
No, when we initially, all the new servers that we bought were physical in the first year of deployment, right? But then we moved to cloud. So cloud deployment became easier and faster because it was all virtual, and we could spin out servers very quickly. So the production, the performance testing, and the production environments and the DR environments were all on cloud. we got to a point where we could spin new servers very fast, right? So we transitioned from physical to cloud.
Okay. Next question is again from Manoj Rastogi only. He's asking what kindly suggest about the penalty clauses for delivery implementation.
So, I mean, this was the penalty clauses that was imposed by the client. Uh, it was for IBM because IBM was the principal manager of the infrastructure. They had a 7-year contract to manage the infrastructure, and all their development, test, performance testing, and disaster recovery environments were hosted in the IBM data center. The production infrastructure was hosted in the telecom company's data center. So it was incumbent on uh, IBM to keep the lights on and upgrade and maintain the infrastructure in all environments, right? So the penalties, if we were implementing a change and it went wrong and there was an impact on production, then obviously, Rogers, the telecom company's billing would be impacted. So there were penalties in those areas. There were penalties in not meeting resourcing, right? In not meeting projects. So there were all kinds of penalties at different levels, which in some of them I'm not privy to because it was at the contract level.
Okay.
I would,
Next question. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Next question is from Ravinder Singh. He is asking in presentation it was mentioned that development, testing, and production data environments were on different vendor environment. Would like to understand the rationale for that.
No. So the development, testing, and performance testing and training were implemented in the IBM data center. And then the production and disaster recovery were implemented in the telecom company's data center. That is the difference, not in vendor. The vendors are the same: Oracle, Amdocs, uh, the telecom company, IBM, and all the security software, network software vendors. It's all the same. There's no change in vendors.
Mhm. So they were only the stakeholders. They were not vendors as such. They
Yeah,
were the
stakeholders. Yeah, any software license vendor was brought in. If we needed support.
they were outward support for the project
Correct.
resources. We say
Right. Right. External support,
yes.
consulting support.
Next question is from Manoj Kumar. He's asking how critical is sanity testing and regression in production release process?
Very important. I mean, the systems testing, regression testing is ongoing because code is constantly being tested in the QA environment, and in fact, we had to implement the latest code in the production application cutover, right? So, and it had to be recompiled and tested again in the production environment before we, allowed it to be released to production, right? So that was a touch and go situation because we had only when we first got the production servers, it had the old code, but there are changes made in the QA environment constantly to the code. So we had to, in the cutover, in the 7-hour window, we had to get the latest code and recompile it in production, test it, and then again do the application testing with all the interfaces. It was very, very, very tense, very tense. So that's why we had, for the production cutover, we had to do dry runs twice before we got it right.
Oh, that's really impressive. Next question is from Praful Puranik. He's asking how would you compare the cost versus control between in-house environment and cloud environment?
I don't know what you mean by in-house involvement. I mean, right now, the in large companies they have a vendor like IBM or HCL which look after the infrastructure build. That means they spin, HCL would spin new servers as and when the demand happens, right? So it is all managed by external vendors, and in-house they, it depends on the size of the company. If the size of the company is very small, they can have the in-house people develop and spin out cloud servers. But in an environment like this, they need a vendor like IBM or HCL or Tech Mahindra or Tata's TCS to manage the environment, this is a very huge environment.
Next question is again from Praful Puranik. He's asking, is it advisable to have a DevOps model in system development and deployment?
Yeah, I mean, that is the future, right? That is what most companies are turning to, right? You get a request, you spin out a server, DevOps model, and away you go. But not every company is in a position to do that, right? It is possible in the larger companies where processes are mature and you have support system and supporting resources in place, and there's a fast turnaround. If you don't have mature processes, it's not worth it.
Mhm. Next question is from Manoj Kumar. He's asking, does risk of rollback reduce in case of CI/CD adoption?
What is CI/CD?
Manoj, can you answer what is CI/CD? Meanwhile, there's a comment from
So continue. There's no question of in such a large implementation, you need to go slowly. You need to control scope. This is not like
yeah,
a
he's
cell.
he's
This is not.
writing
Yeah.
continuous integration and continuous deployment.
Yeah, this is not like a mobile phone where you get a software update, over the Wi-Fi and you get it. So there's continuous deployment and integration. It's this. You cannot have that kind of feature. Yes, you can push out some desktop software updates like Microsoft updates or continuous integration. You can have that again, in Windows, but not for application systems with hundreds of interfaces. You can't do that. It's very risky. Not in this environment. We didn't do that at all.
Okay. So, not much questions. I think this was the last question from the attendees. And as yeah, he's telling, okay, thank you. As I discussed with you, I have one small, I want to share your thoughts on this. So, as I discussed yesterday, I think from one of the seeing the presentation and the critical ways of working, I think from one of the key areas from PMI talent triangle, that is ways of working, power skills, and business acumen. Ways of working, which is technical skills and methodologies used to deliver projects, must be playing an important role in managing these high risk releases. So please share your thoughts on this.
No, so as I told you earlier, we used a waterfall methodology, right, for the entire program. But and for the release, it is very fast, 14 hours. You can't think. So when you say ways of working, it means that I have to be in tune with all the resources, know the scope of the changes being performed, trust my resources to work the issues and resolve them in the window that we have, and make sure that I'm on my toes to be listening to every conversation by all the different groups who are doing the changes, and make sure that they are on time, and make sure that I make instantaneous decisions. You might have one analogy. If you have seen this latest web series on Special Ops 2, Himmat Singh makes instantaneous decisions while he's conducting a meeting, right? He talks on the cell phone with his operatives all over the world, and that was the kind of thing that I had to do here, right? I had to be talking to multiple resources, make instantaneous decisions if it was impacting the window. So you have the first few times in the release was difficult because we didn't know what could go wrong. But once we got a handle on what could go wrong, we were very fortunate to have skilled resources, identify the risks, and mitigate them, right? So we did it over and over again, more than 60 times. So towards the end, we were very, very good, right? It is repeatable process. But again, even in repeatable processes, there are issues and risks cropping up all the time. So uh, unless you have the same dedicated team, uh, coming in and solving the problem, and if you get a new team member, then it becomes very difficult. So I fought to have the same dedicated team for 4 years, and I won. Luckily, management had supported me, and they had trust in me, and they gave me what I wanted.
That's really brilliant, and I think we should learn from your experiences. Same thing. I feel the same thing when we perform operations of inspection services. So when the product is being made from the raw material, and if there's something miss out, we cannot just go back and correct it. It is just we have to just destroy it. So I think these are the critical ways of working, and hopefully we have the processes, and there are lots of good comments coming up. So that's it. I think there is no more questions as of now. So yeah, tell me.
One last thing I want to, give the people in Mumbai a very clear picture. So in the Western world, in the Western environment, implementation is critical, uh, and the time to implement is very fast. And I don't know whether we have time, but I wanted to tell you a very quick story. Do we have 5 minutes?
Yes, please. Yeah, sure.
So I'll tell you this difference in thinking between Western thinking and Asian or Indian thinking. So when Alexander the Great invaded India, he fought Porus, who had a 30,000 man army and had 1,000 elephants, and Alexander had only about 6,000 men. And in those days, they fought only from sun up to sundown, and they were camped on either side of the river. And Alexander knew that he could not win the battle if he came face to face with Porus. So he sent a group of commandos to behind him, and they in early
So me one.
morning
Sorry,
they
sorry,
stamp
sorry.
they stampeded the elephants and caused chaos. And in the melee, Porus was captured and brought to Alexander in chains, and the entire army was defeated, Porus's army. So Alexander, being a very generous man, he asked Porus, "What do you want?" So Porus said he wants his kingdom back. So Alexander gave his kingdom back. And Alexander, being very tired with his army, having fought wars all the way from Macedonia to Afghanistan, which was old India, stayed in the court, and in fact married Porus's daughter. So one day when he was in the court, he saw Indian sadhus standing on one leg, emaciated. He was very intrigued by them. And Alexander always traveled with his philosophers like Plato, Socrates, what have you. And he was a philosopher king. And he then posed a problem to his Greek philosophers and then to the Indian fakirs, sadhus. The Greek philosophers solve the problem in a linear manner. A equals to B, B equals to C, so A equals to C. That is the way the Western mind works, in a linear manner, step by step. But when the problem was posed to the sadhus, they solved it in a different way. They started going around the problem, asking questions, till they came back in a funnel, inverted funnel, till they came back to the tip and then solved the problem. Even today in India, we ask a million questions before implementing. If you want to buy a shirt, you will go to this shop, that shop, in that area. You'll ask your friends, your uncles, aunts where to buy, and then finally go and buy in a shop next to your house. So the decision making, the analysis takes time in India, and it takes time to implement. Whereas in the Western world, implementation is very, very fast, instantaneous almost. That's why you have like a power like America going airlifting troops to one part of the world, or striking. They implement very fast. Once a decision is made, there's implement, no questions asked. But here we ask a million questions before you implement, and that's the difference in the thinking. If you understand the thinking in both parts of the world, then you can implement better. You can strategize, analyze, and implement better. So we should not delay implementation. We have to do precision planning, meticulous planning, and precision execution. And that means you must have all aligned to the same objective, collaborating without conflicts. And that is what you have to manage.
Yes, now I can understand what you meant the managing high risk releases projects. Because as I told you, I am from mechanical engineering, so that's why I was just asking the gist of what you are going to present. But now I
See,
can understand.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, engineering projects are slow. They take years to happen, whereas IT projects are very fast. So you have to be it's like a military operation, essentially. So you have to plan very quickly, like they did in Operation Sindoor, and execute within 3 days, right? It's a similar scenario, but you have to be meticulous planning.
Brilliant session. I'm really astonished and really impressed the way I can correlate between the engineering projects and IT projects, and I think IT projects are very critical and very in a very conducive environment. These projects are handled and implemented. So kudos to you and all the IT project managers who are on these kind of projects. So thank you, Ram sir, for a brilliant session. And we, as a small token of thanks, we will like to present a certificate of appreciation. So I will request Sunil or Tushar to please share the certificate of appreciation, please.
You can email it to me.
Yes, that will be emailed in the next week. I will be emailing to you. So, Sunil, are you sharing, or I will share? Just a minute.
Thank you.
Just a minute. Just give me 1 minute.
I hope the next one I do on Zoom.
Actually, yes, I'm really sorry that we have to present it like this, but then there was no option. We are shifting to Zoom from 1st of August. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I
Yes,
can.
so thank you, Sriram sir, for this wonderful session, and I'm really impressed by the way I could correlate, because I am to operations of inspection services, and I think IT project managers and you are doing a very good job. And please accept this certificate of appreciation from PMI Mumbai chapter as a small token of thanks. And we expect that you will be invited for all other future sessions with PMI Mumbai chapter. So thank you once again for this brilliant session. And I hope that all the attendees who are here have noted down the feedback form link from the chat box, and they can give their feedback on that feedback form link. And then there will be Please note, 2 PDUs will get credited automatically in your account for attending today's session. So thank you once again, Ram sir, for your wonderful session, and thank you to all the attendees who joined this session. So meet you next session soon. Bye bye everyone.
Shika, if you can stay for a minute,
Yes, yeah.
let them all go.
Brilliant session. I'm really like
No, but
and
the thing is, yeah, we'll talk just a minute. The thing is, engineering projects are very slow. So you
Mhm.
cannot, that's why our IT is very, very fast. So uh, it's a different type of scenario, right? So I was telling you earlier, I have one more topic that I would like to present on project management overview and evolution, but that'll be for an hour.
Okay, that I
Uh,
can schedule in
uh,
PM pit stop session.
yeah, okay. We'll talk about it later,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Okay. So can I drop then? Thank you.
Yeah,
I will.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a
Bye.
lot. Yeah, bye.
Bye.